All right, here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Duval Dave channel. Of course, got Eric with me, but we have a special guest today, Jordan DeLugo. Very happy to have you here. Thank you
And
so
Jag,
much.
what's up?
Like we were telling him off camera there for a minute, we're not very insightful. We brought you guys someone who is insightful. So we can deep dive a little bit into what's been going on in training camp and what's going to potentially happen in preseason against the Steelers this week.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to talk some Jags football. I'm just retweeting the link here.
Always
Make
appreciate
sure
it.
everybody gets it and sees it. And yeah, very happy to come on, talk some Jags football, and lend whatever small insights I might have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and straight up ask you, what have you been seeing? Like, what's standing out to you so far in training camp? And also followed up with, are there any? There is always some negatives, but what's a glaring negative that you've seen so far?
Okay, well, so there's just so many different directions you can go with the like what you've seen.
Right.
I think when you just talk about like the team as a whole, I think there's more energy. I think there's more intentionality from the coaching staff. You see that in the way they communicate with the players, with the way they communicate with themselves, the way they communicate with media. Um, they have a clear and concise plan for every single thing that they do. And you also see that in the drills. Like there's very, very specific drills that I just kind of haven't seen before in Jacksonville. Like whether it be a drill where you're just drilling screens. Like I haven't seen that before in Jacksonville.
Right.
And the offensive tackles getting out and getting their man and blocking for a screenplay, just little things like that. But yeah, the way the coaching staff handles their business, there's so much more energy from the top down. I think James Gladstone and Tony Baselli lend to that as well.
Absolutely.
But I would say energy and intentionality is definitely probably the biggest difference I see on a day-to-day basis from the organization
Right.
at all levels.
It's not like
So
having
there's
Trent
just-
Baalke out there with a whistle, right?
Right.
That seems like it brought things down a bit.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I just think it was very low energy in 23 and 24. I think 22, it was exciting. I think Doug was still excited.
Right.
I don't know. There was a confluence of different things happening, I think, following the 2022 season that led the Jags to bottoming out, including a lot of injuries. But I do think Doug lost his excitement for it a little bit for whatever reason. And I don't see that happening with a Liam Cohen or an Anthony Campanile. So that's one thing I think you can look forward to.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so
as far
so
as
you
like
see,
a negative, something I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Worried about not being able to see Eric Armstead and Mason Smith on the field.
ooh,
That's been a big. We were
yeah.
actually going to bring that up at some point because everybody on Twitter is so upset that Eric Armstead, like, it's just a mystery. And I understand it's been said he's got an injury, something's going on, but people are upset that he's not even showing his face, nothing's going on, like he's not showing up to camp, none of this is happening. So people are just, I guess, scared of the unknown, really.
Yeah, and it's all been pretty vague. The messaging about it has been vague. That's actually the one area, right?
Yeah.
I've been talking about how they're energetic and the messaging is very clear and everything. That's the one where it's just kind of like it's hard to tell what's going on. And Liam Cohen was asked about it today, and it was again just kind of a vague answer on Eric Armstead. And there is a little bit of a back thing going on, and they talk about they think he'll probably be ready for the regular season, but he can't say for sure at this point. When asked if he'll be ready for week 1, Liam Cohen said, "I would think so. I would think so. It's hard for me to say right now, though."
Right.
That was
That's
his
been the
direct
only.
response.
I feel like Liam has been so upfront and honest, and this feels like it felt like a Doug answer. And I
Yeah.
don't like saying that, but
Yeah.
it did. It felt that way.
It was the most coach answer I think that
Yeah.
we've received from Liam with how
Yeah.
open that he's been with everything. So yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah,
you
and
brought up Mason's.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like he was in a bad mood today or something like that. I
Yeah.
think it's
Mhm.
genuinely something he does not have the answer for
Right.
right now.
Right.
Because he was very transparent in other questions today. He talked a ton about Travis Hunter's usage on offense, which I was
Mhm.
actually surprised about, like getting into the personnel
Yeah.
and his positional alignment and what he does right now and all that stuff. So it's not like it was a bad day for Liam. It's just a situation I don't think he really knows right now.
Right.
And he just seems like an excited guy. He just I don't know that we've had a coach like that. I don't know if it's the youth or what, but I mean that you can tell when he talks football, he loves football. I
Yeah.
mean, he's grown up with football and everything. So I mean that's just another thing to be excited about with Liam. But you did bring up Mason too, and we
Yeah.
last year his rookie year he was coming off that injury after his last season at LSU, and for all year it felt like there was that tension between the Doug actually want this guy and this was a Trent pick kind of a thing, and then he was forced into action, and when he was actually forced into action he performed. So is this something to be concerned about every offseason, or I'm just curious what that might be all about too.
Yeah, I don't think it is a thing
Hmm.
where it's like this every offseason sort of thing. I think it's just a really unfortunate little circumstance that popped up
Right.
with him right before training camp where he sustained a little bit of a lower body. He has his uh, calf has like a compression sleeve on it every day. He's moving around
Okay.
well, it looks like. I'm
Right.
not really supposed to speculate, but I mean, it looks like he's moving around pretty well.
Yeah.
And the Jags feel like he'll be back for week one and for the regular season, but uh, they were really, really pleased with how he attacked this offseason.
Mm.
And it,
Right.
it felt like he was all the way bought in. And I don't think that they have any issues with the way things have gone with his offseason. It's just one of those ones where it's unfortunate, especially coming off of kind of the tumultuous circumstances that happened with him last year. But
Yeah.
they're pleased with him. They're excited about him. I'm very excited about his skill set. As you mentioned, when he did get on the field last year, he made some plays.
Right.
Every time he got an opportunity to get on the field, you would see him making some plays in the backfield. So I think he's got a lot of talent. Needs to continue to develop it. It's hard to develop it when you can't get practice reps, but
Right.
hopefully he will be able to get out there soon.
Yeah. We don't need another white tiger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually
Um,
something that Eric and I touched on our first episode back. We were talking about the coaching staff and who we were most excited to see as far as coaches go. And my answer was strength and conditioning. I really hope we have better strength and conditioning with a lot of our players, like Tyson Campbell, who always seems to have that one lingering hamstring issue. Can we get that right? Can we get players that have these lingering issues? Can we just get them, to the point to where that's gone? Just play. We want to see our favorite
Yeah.
players out on the field. That's it, and every fan is just super frustrated because it just seems like the injury bug hits the same players over and over again.
Yeah, they obviously felt the same way within the organization. They
Right.
went and made a big change with the strength and conditioning staff, brought over the strength and conditioning coach from Buffalo, who has had a different approach. There's no question about that. They came up with the Jaguar games, which is really competitive and
Yep.
trying to get the whole team to be in the best shape they can be. I know they had a much different plan for a lot of the players in terms of what in football shape means to
Right.
them,
mhm.
like Josh Hines Allen and Devin Lloyd and a lot of these different guys. And it's not the same for everyone. Like Tyson Campbell actually added a little bit of weight this year, a little bit
Right.
of muscle to his frame, whereas a lot of guys kind of shed weight for this year. So it's not a specific, or it's not, um, like holistic, the whole team. It's like individual plans for specific players to get them in the best possible shape for themselves. And time will tell. Like you just don't know how it's going
Right.
to end up playing out. You have seen little injuries here and there throughout training camp. That's going to happen with every single team. You hope that the big time players that you need out there on the field are able to play most of the season.
Right.
A
And
lot of the defense needed to lose that weight, right? After being
yeah,
asked to put on 25 pounds each, it seemed like, and then just
right.
get rotated out for every other play. So
Yeah,
they never had
very,
to shed
very
that
bizarre.
weight. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
it
thanks for
felt
that
like
17 and a half sack season, Josh
exactly.
Hines Allen. Why don't you put on 30 pounds and,
Right. It
see what you can
wasn't
do with
it
that,
wasn't where you
right?
comfortable. It's we want you to be where we feel comfortable. And it just
Yeah.
that's not for everyone. Players need to play where they feel comfortable with their own bodies. But
No question.
leading
I
up
think
to
this
that,
coaching staff is all about that.
oh, that's absolutely great because that's something that's just been a constant issue, and fans have been bugging, and even media have been asking those questions over and over again, and it felt like it never got anywhere. But it's good to do that. And leading into that, offensive line, that's been another big issue with injuries and just the O line play in general. It feels like they did a lot to try and change that, especially bringing in guys that can play multiple positions. Of course, us being here, we're not able to see what they're doing. I can see on Twitter that they've been rotating them. I saw Anton Harrison was playing left tackle the other day, trying that out. So how does that look? You being able to visually see all of that?
Yeah, there hasn't been as much rotating as it might sound like, really. I mean, they
Right.
did have Anton Harrison in there at left tackle during the scrimmage the other night. You had Fred
Right.
Johnson playing some right tackle. They want to cross train them a bit, but I think it's pretty solidly the lineup is in place. I think if there is an injury somewhere, it might be Patrick McCary that moves to that spot, no matter what spot it is.
Gotcha.
Honestly. But they're trying to give themselves some options. They've been cross training Luke Fortner. They've been cross training Jonah Monheim, not to play tackle, but center and guard. Cole Van Lannon was a guy I think they thought could play guard or tackle,
Yeah.
but he's dealing with an injury. He's out for training camp.
Yeah.
So remains to be seen what his availability will be for the season. Overall, with the offensive line, I think Walker Little and Anton Harrison are very talented players.
Right.
They challenged Anton Harrison in a big way this offseason. They were not going to hand him the job. They wanted him to come in with consistent effort every single day. Liam Cohen talked about that, and he feels like he's been getting that from Anton. Walker Little, I think that they had no questions about him as a pro, but they still want to get him to develop as well. Both of these guys are fairly young. Even though Anton started 2 seasons and Walker Little's been in the league since 2021, neither of them has a ton of experience under their belt yet. So I think they're looking for those guys to show a lot of development. I think that they can because, like I said, they are both very talented.
Right.
I think neither of them has played their best football that they can in the NFL yet. And I'll tell you one thing for sure, playing against Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker every single day will definitely help you come Sundays in the fall, which is huge. My biggest gripe or question mark would really be their plan with the center position. And I don't think Robert Hainsey is somebody who can't start in the league, but I think he's someone you're going to be looking to replace soon.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. And so I thought that there were some better options out there in free agency, potentially adding someone in the draft earlier than they did. And I just kind of think when you look at Ezra Cleveland, Robert Hainsey, Patrick McCary, I think there's going to be games, important games, at some point where that group is just not good enough to stop a dominant interior defensive line, an onslaught of a defensive line. And, every offensive line is going to have their issues here and there. But I think that overall, Liam Cohen's scheme will allow them to play at maybe a higher level than they could individually. But I don't see it as like a Super Bowl caliber offensive line.
Yeah. Right.
Now you'd put 9 linemen in your initial roster for the at least the preseason. Was that your regular season one? And was that because there's just we just don't know what's behind those, and even what you said, we don't even know what we have interiorly. So there might be some moving around. So I have to imagine, is that lack of depth why we need so many, or do we have pieces there that just need to be stuck into place properly?
I had 9. I think that's like not a ton. I
Okay.
think that 10 would be a lot. I think
Yeah.
8 to 9 is probably average.
Okay.
3 to 4 total backups on the offensive line for most teams. Really, there's a few spots where it's going to be tight at the back end of the roster, and I definitely think O-line, they're going to have some decisions to make. Again, is Cole Van Lanen ready to go for the regular season? That's gonna be a big factor for sure. I definitely think Chuma Edoga is somebody they feel really good about being one of those guys that can play guard or tackle for them on either side potentially. So he's somebody I would say he is the most locked in backup right now for them, for sure. Other than that, you could see some different guys for different reasons be on the team or not be on the team.
No Devon Foster? No.
I definitely don't think he's locked in.
Sorry.
And I'm not saying he's not bringing it.
Right.
I don't think he's locked into a roster spot, right?
Right.
He's just not somebody that this organization, as it's currently constructed, brought in.
Right.
And honestly, last year he struggled a good bit. This year, you don't see him as much as you saw him last year. There's a lot more competition. There's a lot more bodies. I don't think he's stood out negative or positive a ton throughout training camp so far.
Yeah, I've on the channel. I'm kind of like a Luke Fortner stan for some reason. I don't know. I've just kind of linked into him. Been like, all right, man, this is gonna be the year you pull through, man. And I'm like, oh, is Liam gonna get the best out of this kid? Kind of thing. So
he's done it before.
Yeah. No, that's why we say it too. Is like, hey, he did it with him in Kentucky. I mean, he turned Will Levis into a draftable quarterback. So he's
the Luke Fortner. The Luke Fortner light was relit in Eric's eyes when we got Liam Cohen. He's like, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
Which I said this before. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Every year I'm like, oh, my birthday, and then I'm like, oh, it's Luke Fortner's birthday. That's great.
I'm in the boat where if a player, if they're on the team, I'm rooting for them. If they can go in and they can make a difference, great. If not, next man up. Like, I'm always going to be behind a guy. And I know everybody talks about balky guys, this and that. Like, even, Mason Smith. I'm rooting for Mason Smith to do well. A lot of people are just preying on his downfall just because he's a balky guy. He was drafted, probably way too high. That's understandable. But, if he can get to a point to where he's playing good football, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think fans can have their own opinions about whether or not a player should have been picked at this spot, whatever it may be, and that's fine. But once the player is here, as long as they're giving the proper effort that they need to better themselves and better the team, fans should be all in on those guys.
Right.
So that's how I kind of view that. Obviously, if you don't want Trent Baalke guys around here, you don't want Brian Thomas Jr. around here, Trevor Lawrence around here.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's definitely a little silly if anybody's thinking that. But I think as far as I'm concerned with Baalke guys, as long as they bring it every single day, I don't care who drafted them.
Exactly. A lot of people didn't think he would have drafted Brian Thomas Jr. People were saying, oh, he's not going to draft a wide receiver there. And he did.
Well, yeah, wide receiver is just the position Trent Baalke always avoided in the first round of the draft. And generally speaking in the draft, ever since he drafted A.J. Jenkins, who is a local Jacksonville product. And that didn't go very well. He just has avoided the position quite honestly. And I will say, though, like Brian Thomas Jr., if you're going to select a Trent Baalke type of wide receiver, he does fit the bill, right? Like he's 6'3", runs like the wind. He has length. He can jump out of the gym. He's got all the physical traits that Trent Baalke's usually salivating over.
Absolutely.
So that part of it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So is there when you're out there, at practice and everything, is there is there a particular, skill group that is always drawing your attention? Obviously, Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter are going to be marquee shows, but is there something out there that people aren't aware of that maybe they should be aware of? That's like, oh, that person just made another big play.
Yeah, I would think that everybody's on top of this by now, but Jordan Lewis, holy smokes. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the amount of plays he is making on the ball, whether it's Trevor Lawrence or someone else throwing it, it's insane.
Yeah.
It really is pretty unbelievable. I've never seen a defensive back make this many plays on the ball in this short of a time span. 10 practices. I mean, he's making a play on the ball like every single day.
Yeah. And
And some of them have been just wild.
Yeah.
the only person I've seen giving him troubles as far as, just checking in on Twitter is Travis Hunter. It seems like he's
they have battles.
Yeah, and it's fun to see, and I can't wait to see just the way they practice against each other, how that's going to look on the field against another team. That's just showing you right there that it's gonna be explosive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So
also
one
heard.
thing,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna share something that I haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because I've just been thinking about it a little bit. I think the Jags defense, when they're playing, again, with eyes towards the quarterback, towards the backfield, towards the ball,
Yep.
and coming downhill, I think they're going to be really good. Really, really good.
That's nice
I'm
to hear.
excited for that.
But
Yeah.
if I am an opposing offense, I'm trying to test the vertical speed of the safeties and of the nickel spot in a big way. That's what I'm trying to probably push the ball down the middle of the field. And hopefully the Jaguars structurally, schematically can try to eliminate some of those things.
Right.
But I see receivers are going to be able to get behind Andrew Wingard.
Yeah.
Receivers are going to be able to get behind Eric Murray. Receivers are going to be able to get behind Jordan Lewis at times. Because Jordan Lewis, when he's got eyes and he's covering the flat, when he's covering intermediate zones, when he's in the red zone, good luck. You're not going to get it. But when you have space to operate and try to get him deep, that's where you can have some trouble with some of these guys, in my opinion. They're all really smart. They're all really heady. They're not necessarily the best athletes. I mean, when you talk about Andrew Wingard, Jordan Lewis is over 30 years old. Eric Murray's 30 years old. So you're not talking about these speedsters out there. It's more about their, intellect and their feel for their positions than it is the physical attributes at this point.
Yeah.
Right. That was our worst rated position group, was the safeties. It's what we were most worried about. Then it was the offensive line. It seemed like they tried a little bit more with the offensive line in free agency and in the draft. Safety group is still just question marks. And I know Dewey is he's all gas. He's ready to go. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I just would like to see a little bit more on the field. And him being, I think he's number 1 on the depth chart currently.
Yeah, I have him written in pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting safety with Eric Murray.
Yeah, that's not like jumping off the page at me. Like, great, I'm excited.
Yeah. And again, you're hoping the scheme and their smarts, their feel and understanding for the game is going to, in more situations than not, lead to good results. I think you are going to see a ton of zone. I know I'm talking about teams trying to potentially, get behind these guys. It's more difficult to do that in zone defenses, against zone defenses, especially like a cover 2 shell. I think you're going to see that a lot here in Jacksonville this year. So we'll see how it plays out, but that would be my goal, is to try to isolate those players on speedy guys that can get down the field. And part of the problem with that strategy could also be, okay, good luck getting them the ball before Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker get you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
How's the interior push going? I know we talked about a little bit Eric not showing up, and then obviously Mason being on the sideline. I've heard that Devon's having a really good resurgence. But is Jordan Jefferson doing anything? Is Lacey doing anything? At tackle, right? I think they have Hamilton at nose tackle. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think all of the the guys that have been out there, including Austin Johnson today, have made
Mhm.
plays.
Yeah.
I don't think it has felt like a particularly strong group, right?
Mm.
Like they're making plays here and there. Devon Hamilton is extremely stout. Um, Austin Johnson's also very stout run defender. He's one of those guys that can like just execute his assignment and make things easier for everyone else around him. He's not going to be
Right.
splashy. Uh, I'm starting to think interior pass rush is going to be led by Dewan Smoot and
Yeah.
Emmanuel Ogba.
Okay.
I was about to
Honestly,
say
yeah.
that as far as defensive ends go, we have great
Kick 'em
starters
inside and
and
rush the
great,
passer.
Okay.
great, move them in.
Yeah,
Uh,
that because I was going to ask, I was like, who's going to be the ones that push into the pocket when the edges are collapsing? Because obviously we have the talent there to collapse the edges, so we're going to force
Yeah.
a lot of quarterbacks back into the pocket. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean Devon can do some of that,
yeah,
Yeah.
and Smoot did play a lot on the interior last year for
Right.
Buffalo,
Right.
okay,
and Emmanuel Ogba's done that as well. So I honestly would not be surprised if it's third down and you see those four out there.
okay.
Yeah. And Smoot to me is just a great athlete. He always goes on the field. He's always making plays. He shows up on big plays. That Cinderella year, the 2022 season, when he got hurt, that game he was having a hell of a game and then got hurt, and
Yeah.
that sucked. But
Yeah,
that's
that
always
was
somebody
so
I liked.
funny. I have been a Josh Hines Allen defender for a very long time.
Yeah.
Before it was cool. Right.
Right.
And, I had so many people telling me that Dewan Smoot was the Jaguars' best pass rusher that year. Better
No,
than
but
Josh Hines Allen.
it was clearly Arden Key. I mean, he was the key
Yeah.
to the city, right?
Yeah.
He was the soul of the team. So I don't know how you could say that without bringing
What
up
Arden
Arden
Key might not remember is that
Key.
before Dewan Smoot got hurt,
Yeah.
they were not on the same level.
Right.
But, kudos to Arden Key for when Smoot did get hurt. Key stepped
Mhm.
up in a huge way, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
sucks that he went to the Titans, all that stuff, and
Oh yeah.
but that was a lot of fun. That defensive line was a lot of fun that year.
Yeah.
Would you ever
Joe
consider
Montana.
bringing pushing Trayvon in on obvious rushing, or do you just want him on the edge?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he's
another
comfortable
athlete
with
that can
doing
play
that.
wherever.
Yeah, he's comfortable with that. No problem with that. If it's, just those four out there heating up the quarterback, I think you'll be in a good position to succeed.
That's another question I wanted to ask.
Sorry,
Oh, go
I know
ahead.
I'm jumping in a lot, but I'm
Oh,
just
no, you're
curious.
fine.
Yeah. The linebacker core, that's one core. That's a group I've just not heard a lot of. Obviously, you got Foye, and he's gonna be him, right? But I mean, this is a contract year for Devin. He didn't get his 5th-year option, and I don't know if you know anything about how that works. Obviously we're just fans. We don't know. Is that because that spot is intertwined with 3-4 edge rushers where he plays, or I'm just curious about that.
It's so silly that his 5th-year option would cost the same as Trayvon Walker's 5th-year option.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Just asinine the way the NFL does that.
Yeah, it's
But,
crazy.
I even if the off-ball linebacker's 5th-year option was cheaper than the edge rusher's 5th-year option, I still don't know if they would have picked it up, just because I think they rightly kind of want to see. And I also think when you look at what the Rams' philosophy has been team building wise, they haven't prioritized paying the off-ball linebacker position. And they had Ernest Jones, and they traded him, I think, even though he was like one of the best defensive players for a little while. So I think that they're not going to be a team that prioritizes paying that position. They're already paying Foye Alukin. They didn't sign that contract, but he is getting paid.
Right.
I think he's actually a reasonable value at this point in his career, Foye. But I think there's a legitimate chance that Devin Lloyd has that. I'm not saying the Jags are going to the Super Bowl because it's just silly, but
not for us, baby. Not for us.
Hold on, wait. Is this a Jag channel?
It's too early.
You're right.
It's too early to have any of that type of talk. I think if you want to talk about the playoffs,
Yeah.
I think Devin Lloyd could have that Zach Bond year where, you go and you get paid at the top of the market after this season.
Okay.
Right.
I really do.
Oh, that means him going somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In all likelihood, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously Zach Bond re-signed with Philly. Maybe if he plays that well, they do prioritize keeping him. Who knows? Because the one thing you can say about off-ball linebacker, if you have to pay somebody at the top of the market, it's still probably less than $20 million a year. So if you feel like you have somebody that is a massive impact player, which he has shown at times he can be, both as a run defender and in pass coverage, it just needs to all come together more consistently in coverage. There's been last couple of years, there's been a lot of missed assignments, but there's been a lot of missed assignments around the entire Jaguars secondary and second level of the defense.
Yeah, I was just wondering because that seemed to be his whole thing coming out of Utah was you can't have him think too much. If he's out there thinking, then he can't play, right? He's got to be instinctual and not have to think about what he's doing. And I guess he's just never really grown out of that because I mean when he does grade, he grades pretty well on PFF, but it just watching the game, sometimes you wouldn't know that, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, if you just watch him against the run, you probably think he is a superstar.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a great run defender, and PFF acknowledges that. In coverage, I've talked about this a lot. I feel like 85 to 90% of the time he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, but when he's not, it looks like he doesn't belong on the field.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big play let up. So it's just about dialing in. I think it's also about coaching because, again, you saw it wasn't just him last year. Everybody on the second level and third level of the defense was having blown coverages and missed assignments. So I think fresh start, get after it. He has the skill to get the job done at an extremely high level.
Absolutely. Now, I see a lot of people in chat. I know we're going to get to them, Travis Hunter and Trevor. We'll get to them here in a minute. But I had a question because you get to see it up close. Parker Washington and Cephas. How do they look? To me, from what I see, Cephas is taking every opportunity given to him, and he is just showing out. Parker also seems like he's having a good camp as well. But to me, it just seems like Cephas is jumping off the page. Maybe that's because, last year he was a camp favorite. This year, I feel like he's pushing a little harder. What is your opinion on both of those guys?
I like them both. I think they're definitely I don't know how they don't make the roster. I think they're both, like you have your top three guys clearly set in stone.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter. I think they're 4 and 5, and I think Parker is probably the top backup in the slot, and Cephas is probably the top backup outside.
Right.
I think they've both been really good, really competitive, and to me, their effort throughout training camp has been more impressive than what you're usually seeing out of wide receiver 4 and 5 here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And one issue for me with Parker over the past year or so has just been route running, just running wrong routes and things like that. Does that seem like something he's cleaned up a bit?
Yeah, that's never felt like an issue in practice.
Right.
From what I've seen. So that would probably be a TBD.
Right.
You have to see it on Sundays. But he's a good football player. And yeah, I agree with you. Just like kind of mental mistakes has been the issue with him at times. And I think actually Liam said something about, now I got to go back and look. I think Liam said something about after the practice in the stadium that on the interception that Trevor threw, I think he said something about Parker.
Okay.
So I want to go back and look at that real quick, but
yeah, absolutely.
We can continue on, circle back.
Yeah.
Is Trevor driving the ball? It feels like there's more zip on his throws in these highlights that obviously the Jags media is going to throw out all those highlights where he's looking really good, but obviously it does look different, and I don't know, is that just the little techniques that haven't been driven into him, or again going back to everything with purpose in these off-season training camps this year.
I honestly have never felt like zip on the ball has ever been an issue for Trevor.
Gotcha.
So maybe you see it more consistently with just like the improved footwork, and maybe you
Man.
see it more consistently with just a more well thought out and planned offense, designed
Right.
offense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that this has been his best training camp by a pretty wide margin, and it's been his best training camp despite the fact that he's learning a new playbook, playing
Yeah.
with two new receivers, switching his stance from the gun, switching a lot of his footwork post snap, trying to get through his progressions and marry his feet with his reads. He's working on a lot of stuff, but he's
Yeah.
still performing at a higher level than I think he ever has.
Gotcha. And maybe zip was the wrong term because he's always had the arm.
Yeah.
Maybe the decisiveness, or it seemed like, especially the last year and a half, there was a lot of hesitancy. Like he wasn't confident to get the ball to the first read, or like it definitely felt like he had trust issues with some of the receivers that he had out on the field at times. Like he could only throw to Christian Kirk or Evan, to depend on them to catch it or even be in the right spot. So
Yeah. Rick
Yeah, I think
Ballou
he's definitely.
actually. Rick Ballou posted a video of Trevor throwing, and I mentioned on there his footwork, just everything looked effortless. The ball flew through the air perfect. It just that one video just showed a lot of the improvement that he said he's been working on just in that one clip alone, and just hearing everything from camp, it just seems like everything has greatly improved from a quarterback who I have always seen as a top 10. He just hasn't been there. Like he has the potential, he just never has. And I feel like just everything he's been doing this off season makes me believe he'll be in that conversation at least midway through the year.
Yeah, I've always looked at him as a quarterback who, in like a league average situation,
Mm-hmm.
clearly a top 10 quarterback. I don't
Yeah.
think he's had a league average situation very
Right.
often.
Right.
Last year, I don't think he performed to that same level. It was a bad situation, but like you saw, or like you said, there was some times where he didn't look like he felt confident in what he was seeing in front of him
Yeah.
early on last year. Really,
yeah,
I
Yeah.
think he rounded into form and was playing better down the stretch before he got hurt. But uh, like against the Browns, the first half against the Browns, I don't know what he was seeing. There were plays left on the field. Against the Texans, the same thing. The next week, obviously, the Bills game was atrocious on all fronts. But I did want to go back to that Parker Washington comment because
Yep.
I hadn't actually
Absolutely.
thought about that. But yeah, Liam Cohen talked about Trevor Lawrence's interception in the scrimmage, said the interception's a tough one. Parker took a little long on the route. We had an
Okay.
out in a corner combination down there. The guy that had the out covered fell off. Trevor lobbed the ball in the back of the end zone. Just move on. So I guess Parker wasn't really where he was supposed to be when he was supposed
Right.
to be there on that play. So that is something to keep in mind, I guess, moving forward.
Yeah, that's always been my issue with him. It's not his athleticism. It's not his effort and drive. It's just he seems flustered when he's out there sometimes. And I saw that the last game I was able to go see live was the Monday night game against the Bengals, and he had some great plays. But seeing him live when he had to step up when Kirk went out, there was just some things that he just wasn't prepared. It just felt like he just wasn't all there. It was just 50-50 for him every time he was going out.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just a thing where he needs more reps too, but he might never
Yeah.
get them. So
right. Yeah.
Right.
you never know.
How excited are you for De'Ami Brown? It seems like there's been an instant connection with him and Trevor. I was telling Dave and our channel, I was like it feels like he could be a Zay Jones. Where for me personally, just as a casual, I was like, oh okay, this is a good third receiver pickup, and I felt the same way about Zay. And then in that 2022 season, Zay just kind of was there when we needed him. In that Dallas game and the Raiders and the Ravens game, he just consistently showed up for us and Trevor at the right time. What are your thoughts with De'Ami?
Yeah, I think Diami is a player that it did feel like they had an immediate connection. And then early on in training camp, you weren't seeing a lot of that. But the last week or so, I think De'Ami Brown has turned it on and has been very effective in a lot of ways. And I think if he's your third receiver, and you also have Brenton Strange that you can throw the ball to, and you also have Travis Etienne that you can throw the ball to, in the aggregate, with those three combined, I think you can feel pretty good about where you're at. And I think De'Ami, is he like the best third receiver in football? Maybe not, but his skill set does seem to mesh with what Trevor Lawrence likes. And it also, my first reaction to the signing was he was a screen and a deep shot merchant, and Trevor Lawrence is a great deep ball thrower, and Liam Cohen loves the screen game. So it seemed like a match made in heaven in that regard as well.
Yeah, I mean, James, people say he's a genius, so I feel like these decisions were made, not just all willy-nilly. They were, calculated, it does seem like. But I'm glad you brought up ETN as well. That's a big question for me. Do you think we keep 4 running backs on the roster, given that it seems like they're going to utilize ETN more in the pass-catching game?
Yeah, if I had to predict, I would say yes. Y'all know the 4 that'll be on the roster, but would it shock me if Jaquindon Jackson has a really good, if Jaquindon Jackson and the 2 backs they drafted this year have good preseasons? I wouldn't be shocked if there's a team that needs a running back with an injury or whatever if the Jaguars do decide to move ETN. I think they like him. I think they enjoy having his ability around, but Tank Bigsby's going to be their lead ball carrier.
Exactly.
I feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah, we've mentioned that a few times. That's been and we were going to say, would there be any surprise cuts or trades for you? And that one kind of stands out for us as being a top trade candidate. Probably the people say Trayvon all the time. I don't think that's happening. I don't think we'll trade him. But ETN for sure seems like a candidate that you could probably get a pretty decent pick in the draft from.
I don't know what the market would be, honestly.
Yeah.
If a team is desperate, what's the most they're going to give up for him? It would definitely be a day 3 pick. The question is where on day 3.
I always would say if we could get a 4 out of him, I mean, I would be, as a fan, I don't know.
I think that they would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't know that a team is offering a 4.
Right.
That would surprise me.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that ends up playing out. But again, for me, if you lose ETN and then Bashal Tutin gets injured or he has a fumbling issue, now all of a sudden all of the juice in that backfield evaporates.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would just keep him for this year, unless you get a pick a 4th round pick or something.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
So we did bring up Bashal Tutin. I'm in the Blacksburg area. I live in Roanoke, Virginia, so I got a bunch of Tech friends that are all about him. He's like, just keep him healthy, and get him to the second level. And it just seems it seems like it continues because he's battling something too right now, right? Or has that been resolved?
It seems to be resolved.
Okay.
I think he only missed 1 practice.
Okay.
In terms of working on the side, and he's been in team and everything since then, so I think he's good to go.
Okay.
Awesome.
You like what he's like? Is that speed real then, from what you've seen? Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it on tape. At Virginia Tech, it's pretty electric. If you can get him clean to the line of scrimmage, he can do the rest for you, I think.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see.
For that. Yeah.
All right, and we've got a lot of people asking about it. Travis Hunter, does he look like everything we were promised?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he hasn't been on defense a lot, so it's hard to really, really dive into that. Even today was the first practice where he actually practiced on both sides during the team portion of practice. Since they wrapped minicamp, he did it Friday night as well at the scrimmage, but the first actual normal practice. I wouldn't say today he didn't make any plays. he wasn't really targeted all that much. There was one
Correct.
time where he was like in off coverage and they completed a short pass underneath to the back, and he was there to fill and guide the back out of bounds. So it wasn't really anything uh, to write home about. But offensively, he's been stellar.
Yeah.
He did have one drop that ended up being intercepted by Dewey, but that's literally the only drop he has had in team or positional drills all training camp.
Yeah.
So not anything to worry about.
Yeah.
He
It's
just
gonna
moves different. His ball skills are incredible. Literally, I said this before we drafted him. I thought that he had the best hands maybe that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like that good, both in contested situations and just not dropping anything, not dropping any of the easy ones. And there's been some obviously unbelievable receivers with great hands, and so that might be a little bit of hyperbole, but last 5 years or so, I don't think you could say that there's a receiver prospect with better hands than Travis Hunter. And then you've also seen on days where he is playing exclusively defense, you have seen some playmaking. A few practices ago, late last week, he got his hands on the ball 3 times in one practice defensively, and didn't intercept any of them, but they were really great heady plays on the ball. So he's going to be electric. I can't wait to see it. I really can't. I can't believe that the Jaguars actually
And I was going to say,
are
I
the
was
team
like,
that
man,
did that. And
how crazy that.
Yeah.
with
It's awesome
Gladstone
that
at
he's
the helm, it's not shocking.
Yeah.
Because Gladstone's going to do what he wants to do to be aggressive to
Exactly.
try to, create advantages for his team. But just it's kind of insane that the Jaguars have that type of person at the helm making these roster decisions just after what you've seen for the last, 25 years.
Yeah. Right. To have that type of player with that kind of electricity. There's all the hype with having Trevor and deservedly so, but I think this is the first real, player that the Jags have had that just kind of, nationwide. If you're a football fan, Travis Hunter kind of thing, and to have him in Jacksonville is exciting, undoubtedly.
Now, does it pose an issue 4 or 5 years down the road, money-wise, if both him and BTJ are both just playing at the highest level? How do you pay these guys? I mean, I'm guessing since Travis is technically playing both ways, there's a little bit of, wiggle room with paying him certain position money and things like that. But being 1 year apart,
I think you have to pay him more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think his second contract, if he plays the way he's capable of playing, could be the highest non-quarterback contract we've ever seen.
Right.
Right. Just because he's playing. So what do you like? Okay, because he's going to have to. And maybe you can talk a little bit more about how because they've been very open about how they want to implement him. But with what you're hearing from what the coaching staff want to do with him, what is a realistic kind of statistical season that you can see from Travis this year?
Offensively, we'll start there because I do think he. Mm-hmm. If I had to bet, I would bet he would have more offensive snaps. I think he's going to play a lot on both sides, but I would bet more offensive snaps. Just the offense needs him more.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked him more at receiver and part of that was just like, I want him helping my quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
Bottom line. And that was, again, independent of Jaguars. That was just draft in general, right? Whoever drafts him, I'm like, just have him help your quarterback. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I would say I was actually talking to Hacker about this today. It would not shock me if he leads the Jaguars in receptions.
Wow.
But has way less yards than Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think he's going to get peppered with the football, short and intermediate. And I think he's going to have opportunities down the field as well. I'm not saying that, but I think he's going to be that guy, short and intermediate, get him the ball a ton. And Brian Thomas Jr. will get the ball a ton as well.
Yeah.
The safe bet would be to say Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have more catches than Travis. But, is it possible that Travis gets more catches because he gets more targets that are
Right.
just like almost extensions of the run game.
Right.
Yeah, and I
So I
made
think
a
he's gonna.
slight prediction that De'Ami Brown could have a potential 1,000-yard season, and that's because most people might be, you know, thinking like, what are we going to do for BTJ? What are we going to do for Travis Hunter? And him being that deep ball threat could potentially have a lot of big plays and stack those up fairly quickly.
Yeah, that would surprise me. I think
Yeah.
that there could be. I think there will be games where it looks like De'Ami could have a 1,000-yard season if he
Yeah.
played like that every week.
Right.
But I just don't see that the Jaguars not consistently feeding Travis and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
the ball to where that De'Ami could get that much run
Right.
in terms of the targets. But
Yeah.
I do think he's going to have his most productive year in the NFL, which isn't
Yeah.
saying a whole lot. But
Right.
I do think he could have some fantasy relevant weeks in best ball, especially like if you play any best ball, just have him on your bench and wait for him to pop off. I think he's
Yeah.
going to have some big games because I do think there will be weeks where teams are just doing everything they can to slow down one of Brian Thomas Jr. or Travis Hunter, and then De'Ami Brown's the recipient of more targets. But
Right.
I think that Liam Cohen's offense is going to mitigate a lot of what defenses can try to do to just stop guys because he's
Yeah.
going to put them in motion. He's going to have bunch formations. He's going to do all sorts of, condensed formations towards the line of scrimmage where you can just run to green grass. It's going to be difficult to stop these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think Travis Hunter statistically, offensively.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I think statistically, offensively, I'm looking like minimum 80 catches, minimum 900 yards,
Okay.
7 touchdowns, something
Hey.
like
Hey,
that.
I'm on board. I
Yeah.
like that.
I'm with that as well.
I was just going to make a smart ass remark about pre-snap motion. What's that? Right.
Right.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. Listen, I'm in the boat. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
care
just
who's
thinking
scoring
about
touchdowns.
Travis-
Just score touchdowns.
Yeah, I just don't know how they don't pepper him with targets.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get
Yeah.
the ball a ton.
Okay.
Defensively,
I'm with it.
I think he'll get his hands on the football a lot. It's hard to predict interceptions,
Yeah.
but shoot. If you throw the ball at him enough, he's going to get his hands on it and he's going to make some plays. I would go with like 3 interceptions to be conservative.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's still a lot for you know. We didn't get an interception by the defensive backs until like week 12 last year or something like that. So that'd be
that's not going to be the case this year.
Okay.
Jordan Lewis is going crazy.
Yeah.
If you're targeting him in the flat, shallow, underneath, intermediate, good luck.
Yeah. And now I'm guessing, depending on the team and schemes, we'll see Travis on one side of the ball more certain games, and then on the other side of the ball, other games.
That's kind of my thought, and there's so many different ways they could go about it. Like, is it game script dependent? Is it matchup dependent? Is it, this game is more important than that game? Is it, well, we're going to get him out there on the first drive every game, no matter what. And then based on what happens the first 2 drives, offensive drive and then the defensive drive or vice versa, if we get up, maybe we can give them a little bit of a rest. I don't know what they're going to do.
I know.
But it's going to be really fascinating to see. And like you said, the entire world is watching.
Yeah.
Right.
The entire world is going to be watching that.
Yeah.
So it's really a unique situation, not just in Jacksonville, but anywhere. No one's done this before. Not in a very, very long time.
Yeah. The hype is real. And again, it's in Duval, which is awesome. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of kids coming up trying to do the same thing he's doing. Very few are going to be able to do it, but he's definitely changing the way people perceive the game, especially growing up, high school, college, things like that. You're going to see a lot more kids that, are other types of athletes like basketball, and they're like, oh, well, if I can, play multiple positions, I might go give that a shot because it gives me more options playing football than it does, let's say, basketball or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I just don't think you have to have a crazy amount of mental endurance, physical endurance, and just drive to do what he's trying to do. And
Passion.
he has those things in spades.
Yeah. You have to absolutely love the game of football.
I mean, obviously you can feel it at camp. Do you feel it around town? Like, are people talking differently right now about the Jags than maybe they would have, last year or the year before? Obviously there was the excitement after 2022, but then there was the Jags doing Jag things, the last 2 years. So I'm just curious.
I think like the general vibe is like cautious optimism.
Yeah.
Like these fans have been burned too much to be like all in. But I think as soon as they have a big game, you could see it go pretty crazy here.
Yeah, we're definitely excited for the season. We are. We always do our pick'ems each week, and we always pick the Jags no matter what. That is our bias game of the week. We we like to pretty much say it up front. Like, we're gonna pick the Jags. Do we think that they'll probably have a chance to win certain games? Absolutely not. But we're gonna say they're gonna win the game because we want them to win the game. There's a lot of downer fans, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's okay. But as a fan, I always tell people it's okay to be biased. It's okay to show your fandom. You don't have to be a downer. You can be excited for even the smallest thing. If you like the tight end position and you like Brenton Strange, be excited for that. Just be excited for something. Pick something to be excited about for the Jags. You don't have to say, well, Trevor's not playing well, blah, blah, blah. Just be excited. If you live in Jacksonville, if you're a Jags fan, just be excited for something. Try and find some joy in it.
One of 30 cities to have one of these teams.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's what we try to do around here, is bring a little bit of joy.
As two guys that live 12 hours away.
I'm only 7.5. Not too bad. I live in Charlotte, by the way. We were talking about this before you jumped in. I got a chance. I don't listen to a lot of local sports radio. Panthers sports radio, unbearable. Absolutely unbearable. The only thing they're talking about right now, and I listened to 2 hours of this, is why can we not call him T-Mac? Why does he not like Tet? And do we have to call him by his full name? They talked about that for 2 hours, and it was the most unbearable thing that I've had to listen to sports-wise.
Yeah, I don't really listen to a lot of terrestrial radio. All love for 1010 and everybody around town, but it's just not my cup of tea either.
Yeah, I've cut out pretty much traditional media around the board when it comes to anything I consume. There's better ways to get it nowadays, and especially with a lot of people doing YouTube and especially you guys doing your own thing media-wise, you can't go directly to the source, but you can get very close. And it just seems like listening to radio stations like 1010XL, like, they say just a lot of different stuff. And at least if you go to, one person on YouTube, you can get some continuity, things like that. And that's where people are kind of getting away from traditional. It just feels like it's stuck in an era that just isn't moving forward anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and for like just NFL talk at large, I absolutely love the Athletic Football Show. They do a tremendous job, so I'd recommend that to anyone.
Yeah.
Who's looking for, something different.
Yeah.
The traditional radio or news, and then like Football 301 as a Yahoo production. That's a really good show as well. They just cover the NFL at large, and the Jags come up a lot nowadays.
Oh yeah.
So
it's good
you can also be listening and potentially hear some Jags content there.
Yeah. Well,
so are you full in now? Even now that it's preseason and everything, like, or do you have any other like off time now between now and the start? Is there anything about town that you're trying to get into before things really kick off, or are you just on the drive now?
I'm pretty much just locked in.
I got you. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, very, very much locked in. Just
that was last week's
anything
question.
Jaguars going on?
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. There's anything Jaguars going on, that's where my mind is. And Even
gotcha.
when there's not anything going on, that's where my mind is.
That's awesome. Well, before we get out of here, let everybody know, where they can find you. Everywhere, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. The YouTube channel is Gen Jag, like Generation Jaguar, GenJag. Club Jaguars coming back tomorrow night
Okay.
at 8:30. Me, UCF Jaguar,
Okay.
and Jason from Jaguars United. We do a podcast together, so that's another good
Awesome.
show to check out. It'll be on my YouTube channel and UCF Jaguars.
Okay.
You can check it out on either place. I think it'll be on Twitter as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's exciting. And you can also check out genjag.com. I have a bunch of Duval gear up there. So that's all the plugs I got.
Sounds good. And I got a lot of your
Yeah,
stuff
man.
linked below. So if you guys scroll down to the description, I've got some links. You can go follow him on everything. He's great to follow. I've been keeping track. And he's been one of the best to keep up with everything on Twitter and YouTube as well. So we appreciate you. Hopefully we can have you back at some point during the season, get some insight as the Jags are, deep into the season and, see how they're doing. Hopefully well.
Yeah, steamrolling the AFC South.
Yeah.
Amen. Well,
I believe it can happen.
Dave's already called it. He's said that we're gonna sweep the division this year. So keep a lookout for that.
I heard you say that.
I had to.
Tough to do.
It is very tough to do. I had to have something click-worthy, but at the same time, I believe we can sweep the Colts and the Titans. And the Texans, it all depends on how their line's doing and how CJ's playing. He's not looking good in camp, but again, it's just camp. That's all we can say. It's just camp. But yeah, if they slip up and they're not playing well, the Jags could sweep it and surprise everybody. It'd be fun. I'm ready for a fun season.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that should be very motivated to beat the Texans in that locker room.
Absolutely.
Yes.
After what happened last year.
After what happened last year. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm ready. I'm good. Put me in. I'll get lit up, but I want to hit something.
I've said that before. Put me in. I'm gonna get lit up, but I'll give all my effort for one play. That'll be it.
Yep.
All right, guys. We appreciate you coming out. Make sure you guys join the Discord. Subscribe if you're brand new. Jordan, thank you so much. We'll have you back on if you were willing.
Yeah.
If we didn't scare you off.
Absolutely.
But we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll give a big Duval.